This week's Facebook Live. Going to talk a little bit about dealing with setbacks with regard to stress and what you can do when slips happen, and they do happen. Okay, any sort of change we make in our life, if we're making anything to do with our physical and mental health, we do tend to have slips. And so what can we do? What can we do to deal with this and get ourselves back on track? So, you know, at the start when we're tackling our stress initially, we realize we're stressed, and we can be all gung-ho and go out and make a lot of changes in our lives, or attempt to make a lot of changes, both mentally and physically in our lives. But making too many changes at once can, it can be too fast sometimes, and then somewhere along the line we mess up, we slip up. And you can take the same analogy for New Year's resolutions. We can slip up. So it is very common. It is very, very common to have a setback, and it's one of the reasons I say, go slowly. It's always progress over perfection, and it's always about, doing a weekly review, taking things slowly, and saying to yourself, okay, how did I get on this week? Was there anything I can learn? Um, and, is there anything I can realize from this? Because it's important that we realize, that the setbacks happen. It's part of the change process, and have compassion for yourself. That's the main thing here, because the passion will help reduce your stress. Um, the other thing to do is, plan ahead. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have slips. So plan ahead for them. And also remember, having a setback or a slip in any way isn't the end of it. It just means that we have to learn from it, and more importantly, we get back up and we keep going, because that's going to give us success. It's the get back up and keep going, it leads to success. So what can you do if you do in fact have a setback, and your stress seems to have been knocked again, and yet you feel, sometimes we can feel too that, okay, I've done everything, it's not the same, what's going on here? So the whole idea is to bring it back to basics. Okay, that's the first thing I say to you is, you're going to bring everything back to basics. It's a good idea, and I always do this with my clients, is to have somewhere you can bring it back to, and know if I do these things, this is the bare minimum I'm going to do. So it's your fallback stance when something goes wrong. So that's what we're going to be talking about in these next few steps. So the first thing I say to you is, get to know your stress. Remind yourself, okay, of what has caused you stress, what is your triggers, and how do you respond to that stress. Now, I've done a 4-part video series on this, a blog and video series that'll help you get to know your stress. Go check it out. There's a link in this week's blog to it. Go check it out. But the other question you should be asking yourself is, what's changed about my stress? Okay, maybe this time around it's coming from a different source. Maybe I'm handling the old stuff very well, and that's going good, and that's not what's throwing me off kilter. It's something new. Something new has been added to the mix, and maybe it's coming from this other source. So don't just look at the old stuff, look at what else is new for you. So a review. First thing is review, raise your awareness as a result of the review, and even if you think it's the same, look at it again and see, what can I do that's going to help me here. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Number 2, bring it back to what has already worked for you. Okay? So what is already working for you to reduce your stress? Maybe it's meditation, journaling, your basic self-care. You have to do basic self-care, okay? You can't get out of that one. Saying no. Talking to your support system. There's a whole variety of ways you can help yourself with stress that I've talked about before. So again, you're reviewing what is working in your list that you already are doing and you've done. Now, go back, pull it back. Maybe you need to take it back down a little bit and reintroduce these one at a time. Take it slow and review as you go along. And that might be a bit frustrating for you because, let's face it, everybody wants a quick fix. Everyone, even including me, I want a quick fix, but I don't have a magic wand and I can't give you a quick fix. It's slow and steady is going to win the race here every time. So remember to, express that frustration, because that's part of handling your stress. If you're frustrated that you're not making progress here, express that. And any other emotions that's coming up for you. Use your journal for that. Maybe you have somebody you can talk to in your positive supporters list, but talk about it. But again, go back and see what is working for me, because maybe, you were doing the meditation, your basic self-care, you were doing your journaling, and then you started to introduce saying no. And saying no, what you did was, because you got, some confidence in what you were doing and how you're handling things, maybe, just maybe, you tackled saying no to the wrong person because they were just a step too far. What you might need to do is look at, okay, what did I do there? Maybe I need to say no to somebody a little bit less intimidating, a little less negative. Tackle that, tackle them, tackle those people that are, lower down on the scale than somebody who's going to get in your face and be very aggressive or is closer to you and is such a negative vampire, maybe family, friends, or somebody who's very close to you. So tackle somebody that's, may out further out in the circle of trust, or lower down in that negativity list. Tackle them first and gain your confidence from them and tackling those people before you work your way up to the more difficult people. Maybe that was what you did. So think about it. That's the whole idea here, is to think about it and express any frustrations you have, and do it. You need to express that. Don't be holding on to the anger and the frustration. Number 3, review what went wrong, because you need to learn. Okay, as you've been going through those 2 other steps, I keep saying to you, review. You need to learn. So ask yourself some questions that will help you learn from this experience. What can I learn from the setback? What exactly happened? If you can get as much detail, and when I say detail, I'm not just talking about, about the description of your interactions with somebody. I want you to add in your thoughts, your feelings, your responses, everything, as much detail as you can think of what went what went wrong, and what exactly went wrong. So you've got to take into account your responses, and that means everything: your physiological responses. What did you feel in your body? Where did you feel it? If you can remember, your thoughts and your emotions, everything, and as well as how you responded to them. As I said, maybe you said no, or maybe you decided to say yes to somebody when you really should have said no, and that added to your stress. The next question you can say, did you let somebody creep back into your life? We can all allow, people are very good, particularly negative vampires, are very good at creeping back into our lives. So we have to you really have to watch that, and they'll know exactly what to say, and when, and how to get around you. They always know how to do that. So, learning to take that step back from them and to be able to look at it and look at who they are and how they're interacting with you and how they operate. And this is where meditation will really, and your journaling is really going to come into its own. And it allows you to take that mental step back, even in retrospect, to look at what's going on around you. Maybe you did eliminate, maybe you were brilliant at saying no and you were eliminating everybody, you minimize contact with negative people, but you let somebody new into your life who's negative. And you didn't spot, because they operate a slightly different way. So again, you got to, who's new in your life? What are they doing? How are they operating? The other one, did you forget to say no when you should have said no? Remember, you can go back and say no at any time, or ask for more help, or have a talk about the situation with them. That is it your responsibility? Is it their responsibility? And review that. What did you do there? What can you learn from that? So if you don't review, you cannot learn. And if you cannot do both of those, then you will not be proactive in getting yourself back on track. You'll be reactive. You'll be reacting to situations, and that's only going to add to your stress. But when we can stop, take a break, take a breath, and just review what has happened. Okay, what can I do? What happened? What can I do about it? Be more proactive. Talk to your positive support list. Journal about it. Let out the emotions appropriately. Work through your own thinking, and then make the best decision in a proactive way that you can for yourself. There's only a couple more of these. So the next thing I'd say to you is number 4 basically is plan out how you're going to tackle a similar situation in the future. One, you can, you're challenging what's gone on, what's happened. You're challenging any negative thoughts that might have come up, but you're also, in doing that challenge, we also plan, if this happens again, this is what I'm going to do. So when we do that, it can be quite reassuring to a part of us that is feeling uncertain and needs that reassurance that, yeah, we've got a plan and we're going to tackle this a bit better the next time. And this is what we're going to do. So you can reassure yourself there, and it helps to ease off the anxieties and the fears. Number 5, and this is very important, is to praise yourself. You've achieved so much already. Remember, we're talking progress, not perfection. We want to drop the perfectionism, and we want to drop the people pleasing and all that. So we want to, praise ourselves, have compassion for ourselves for what we've already done. And then, get back out there and continue on. It'll give us, when we do that, when we praise ourselves, even in small ways, and that's why I say to you to do the reviews, and say, yep, did that really well. And if you do them weekly for 5 or 10 minutes, it's not going to take an awful lot of time, but you can actually catch things quicker when you do that. And you can pat yourself on the back and say, yep, I did a good job this week, and get back on out there. Remember, the difference between people who fail and succeed are those that, they get back out there and they do it. Even if they see, they see that they've made a mistake. They see that those mistakes are actually learning opportunities, and they plan. They learn, they plan, as I said, they plan ahead, they celebrate themselves, and then they keep going. I've done a number of videos at this point on stress management. So if you're looking for stress management tips, as I said, there is a 4-part series in getting to know yourself and your stress. And there's also another video on quick stress management tips if you want to check those out. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for those who watch in replay. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer questions. And I will talk to you all again next week.